Hello, I'm Sonny. I am an actor on General Hospital, and many people really love both me and our General Hospital drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved General Hospital. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The emotional storms sweeping through Port Charles are far from over, and with every passing day, old wounds grow deeper while new conflicts threaten to reshape the lives of those caught in their path. Family loyalties are being tested, painful truths refuse to stay buried, and unexpected reunions are stirring emotions that no one is truly prepared to confront. In a town where every street corner seems to carry a memory and every familiar face comes with complicated history, even the simplest encounter has the power to change everything. Wednesday, July 8th promises another chapter filled with difficult conversations, heartfelt confessions, and choices that could leave lasting consequences. As loved ones struggle to find common ground and long-standing relationships continue to fracture under unbearable pressure, the people of Port Charles are learning that sometimes the hardest battles are not fought against enemies, but against the people they love most. And at the heart of it all stands one young woman who has finally reached the limit of what she can endure. Trina Robinson has spent far too long trying to hold her family together, constantly placing herself between two parents whose endless arguments have slowly chipped away at her own peace of mind. Time after time, she tried to be the voice of reason, hoping that somehow her love for both Curtis and Portia could bridge the widening gap between them. Instead, she found herself exhausted, emotionally drained, and carrying burdens that never should have belonged to her in the first place. Realizing that she could no longer sacrifice her own happiness to keep everyone else from falling apart, Trina made the painful but necessary decision to step away. She lovingly told both of her parents that while she would always love them, she desperately needed space to focus on her own life and her own future. It wasn't an act of rejection or anger, nor was it a permanent goodbye. It was simply the only way she could protect herself from the emotional chaos that had consumed their family for far too long. The tension between Curtis and Portia has reached a breaking point, fueled by accusations, suspicion, and an inability to see beyond their own perspectives. Curtis has become completely consumed by his belief that Portia's boyfriend, Isaiah, was the mysterious driver responsible for the devastating accident involving both himself and Jordan. The suspicion has taken root so deeply that it seems to cloud every conversation and every decision he makes. Meanwhile, Portia refuses to abandon Isaiah when he needs her support the most, standing firmly by his side despite Curtis's relentless accusations. Whenever Curtis and Portia find themselves sharing the same room, emotions ignite almost instantly, and what begins as disagreement quickly spirals into explosive confrontation. Portia refuses to stay silent or soften her opinions, and Curtis shows little sign of backing down either. Their inability to communicate without hostility has transformed every interaction into another painful reminder of how fractured their relationship has become, leaving Trina trapped in the middle of a conflict she never asked to inherit. Knowing that she could no longer continue living beneath the weight of their endless battles, Trina finally drew a line that neither of her parents expected. With heartbreaking honesty, she admitted that she loved them deeply, but she could no longer allow their personal war to dictate the course of her own life. She asked them to give her the distance she desperately needed, hoping that time apart would allow everyone involved to breathe, reflect, and perhaps eventually heal. It was one of the most mature and emotionally difficult decisions she has ever made, proving just how much she has grown despite the turmoil surrounding her. Yet Port Charles is hardly a city where people can simply disappear from one another's lives. It is a close-knit community where familiar faces are almost impossible to avoid, and fate has a way of bringing people together at the moments they least expect. That reality becomes impossible to ignore when Wednesday's events place Trina and Portia face to face once again in an unexpected encounter that neither of them can avoid. The question now hanging over Port Charles is whether this chance meeting between mother and daughter will reopen fresh wounds or become the first small step toward reconciliation. The emotions between them remain fragile, balanced delicately between lingering hurt and unconditional love. Despite everything that has happened, the bond between a mother and daughter is not something easily broken, even when disappointment and frustration have built towering walls between them. Perhaps this encounter will offer Portia the opportunity to truly hear what Trina has been trying to say all along. Or perhaps old habits and unresolved emotions will once again threaten to pull them into another painful confrontation. For now, everyone can only hope that this crossing of paths remains calm, respectful, and free from the explosive drama that has haunted so many recent conversations within the Robinson family. Elsewhere in Port Charles, another moment unfolded that left witnesses completely speechless and reminded everyone that love often arrives without warning. Monday's unforgettable episode delivered a breathtaking reunion between Carly and Valentine, one that felt almost cinematic in both its intensity and emotion. The instant their eyes met, nothing else around them seemed to matter. Without hesitation, they rushed toward one another, embracing with overwhelming relief before sharing a passionate kiss that spoke louder than any words ever could. It was a reunion fueled by longing, affection, and emotions that had clearly been waiting for the perfect opportunity to burst free. Neither Carly nor Valentine showed the slightest concern for who might be watching. In that single unforgettable moment, the rest of the world simply disappeared as they became completely lost in each other. Unfortunately for them, they were far from alone. Standing nearby were Sonny, Lulu, and Charlotte, each witnessing the passionate reunion unfold before their eyes. The expressions that spread across their faces told an entire story without anyone needing to speak a single word. Sonny, in particular, looked absolutely stunned, his reaction revealing a mixture of surprise, disbelief, and perhaps even concern over what he had just witnessed. His priceless expression captured the complicated emotions swirling beneath the surface, hinting that Carly's unexpected connection with Valentine may have consequences neither of them has fully considered. As Wednesday's episode approaches, Sonny apparently decides that remaining silent is no longer an option. He prepares to offer Carly a serious warning, likely urging her to think carefully before becoming deeply involved with someone like Valentine. Yet considering Sonny's own complicated romantic history and the countless questionable choices he has made throughout the years, one has to wonder whether he truly believes Carly will accept advice from him. If anything, Sonny may soon discover that warnings are rarely enough to change the course of someone's heart. While romance and family turmoil continue to dominate the streets of Port Charles, another heartbreaking story quietly unfolded beneath the surface, carried by a man who has endured more pain than anyone should ever have to bear. Lucas has been trying to move forward after months that have tested every ounce of his strength, but some wounds refuse to heal simply because time has passed. Surviving 3 gunshot wounds to the chest was miraculous enough, yet the physical scars are nothing compared to the emotional devastation he continues to carry. The greatest loss of all came when he was forced to say goodbye to the man he loved, a heartbreak that still echoes through every quiet moment of his life. Grief has a way of returning when least expected, and even the strongest people eventually need someone willing to listen without judgment. That is exactly why Lucas turns to Elizabeth, hoping that by finally putting his thoughts into words, he might ease the crushing weight he has been carrying alone for far too long. As Lucas opens his heart, one revelation continues to haunt him above all the others, a truth so cruel that it makes every sacrifice feel even more unbearable. Britt never actually had Huntington's disease. Everything everyone believed was part of a carefully orchestrated deception, a devastating scheme designed by Cullum and Sidwell to manipulate her into carrying out their dangerous plans. They convinced her that her life depended on cooperating with them, forcing her into the creation of the terrifying cold fusion weapon while exploiting her deepest fears. The medication they handed her, the treatment she trusted with desperate hope, was never medicine at all. It was nothing more than ordinary saline, an empty illusion that offered false comfort while the people controlling her continued to pull every string. The heartbreaking realization makes the tragedy almost impossible to process, because it means Britt suffered needlessly, believing a lie until the very end of the deception. Even worse, Marco ultimately lost his life because of that elaborate manipulation, a sacrifice that now feels painfully meaningless in light of the truth. Lucas has already poured some of these painful emotions out to Ava, confessing how impossible it is to accept that so much suffering was built upon nothing more than calculated lies. Yet repeating the truth does not lessen its weight. If anything, saying it aloud only reinforces how profoundly unfair the entire ordeal truly was. Every memory now carries new meaning. Every decision is clouded by what might have been if honesty had prevailed from the very beginning. As Lucas speaks with Elizabeth, there is little doubt that this revelation will once again reopen emotional wounds that never fully healed. But the truth about Britt is only one piece of the emotional burden he continues to shoulder. Months of trauma, unanswered questions, survivor's guilt, heartbreak, and lingering uncertainty have accumulated inside him, and Elizabeth may become the one person capable of helping him sort through the overwhelming storm of emotions that refuses to quiet. Elsewhere in Port Charles, another intriguing development begins quietly, but could have significant consequences in the days ahead. Rick is preparing to take on a brand new client, a move that immediately sparks speculation throughout the community. In a town where legal battles are often intertwined with deeply personal conflicts, every new attorney-client relationship has the potential to shift alliances and expose hidden agendas. There are countless possibilities regarding who might be seeking Rick's help, but one name rises above the rest. Britt, having finally returned to Port Charles, finds herself in desperate need of experienced legal representation as she attempts to navigate the complicated reality waiting for her. Her return has already stirred emotions across town, and whatever challenges lie ahead, they are unlikely to be simple. If Rick agrees to represent her, the partnership could place both of them directly in the center of the next major conflict unfolding in Port Charles, setting the stage for legal battles filled with secrets, emotional confrontations, and unexpected twists. As one storyline begins to take shape, another leaves viewers with an entirely different mystery. Molly suddenly finds herself standing before a difficult decision, one that could influence not only her future, but the direction of several lives around her. The exact nature of her dilemma remains uncertain, making the suspense all the more compelling. Perhaps the choice is connected to her legal career, especially after recently appearing at the Port Charles Police Department to help Danny under circumstances that seem noticeably outside her official responsibilities as an assistant district attorney. That unexpected appearance raised more than a few questions, suggesting that Molly's priorities may be shifting in ways no one anticipated. Yet there is another possibility quietly waiting in the background. Her long-anticipated summer book tour is supposed to begin soon, an exciting opportunity that represents years of dedication and hard work. Balancing professional ambitions with personal obligations has never been easy, and Molly may soon discover that moving forward requires sacrifices she never expected to make. Adding another fascinating layer to the unfolding story is the surprising alliance between Rick and Alexis. Despite their complicated history and countless disagreements over the years, the two have somehow managed to come together for a common purpose. Together, they are planning a book launch party for Molly, an event that should be a joyful celebration of her accomplishments and the beginning of an exciting new chapter in her life. Their willingness to cooperate suggests that, at least for now, old rivalries can be set aside in favor of supporting someone they both care about. Still, in Port Charles, even the happiest occasions rarely remain free from unexpected complications for very long. As celebrations, legal drama, emotional healing, shocking truths, and fragile family relationships continue to collide, every storyline seems destined to intersect in ways no one can fully predict. Wednesday's episode promises heartfelt conversations, difficult choices, unexpected warnings, and emotional confrontations that could reshape several lives, reminding everyone once again that in Port Charles, a single encounter can change everything in an instant, and every decision has the power to alter the future forever.